go. Oh,
Let's
boy.
go. Oh, boy.
The boys are back in town, baby.
The
Let's
lights
go.
on. Beau's in
We
studio.
have lights on.
Regular season games. Come on.
They count.
Let's go.
The regular season is the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is the Super Bowl.
Let's go.
We're here. It is good to be back.
It's great to have
been
you
forever.
back.
It's been, we were talking off air, it's been 79 or 80 weeks since you and I did a show together in this studio.
In the studio.
Lo, these many weeks we've been doing this.
March
remotely.
3rd, 2020 is the last time we did a show together in this studio.
Your excellent recall to remember the exact date and that you came in before you went to Puerto Vallarta, I believe,
That's right,
before.
on March the 4th.
And we had got back from the Combine, and then we did that, and then
Yeah.
you were there, and we were here the next week, and then that was it.
We came back from the Combine. We got these
Oh, that's right.
on Monday.
Why did I not wear it? That's a bad job out of me.
Tuesday was our last show in, and then Wednesday I departed and landed a week later, and the world had changed.
The world had changed.
Quite a
Yes.
bit.
It is good to be back. And a lot
Great
has
to have
changed.
you.
You think about that amount of time, and you think about the game week that we are jumping onto right now. It's so great to see the people again. Can I just say it's been so long
People
since
are
I've seen
excited
the
to
people.
see
It's
you.
good to see the people.
Yeah.
But you think about what is in store for us on Sunday with 4 o'clock in Kansas City. And we have had these weeks of preseason and camp and all of this. And we've spent all this time talking about the last 5 or 6 guys on the roster and what that was going to be. And you get to this point where it's game week and you go, okay, this was in the brochure. When you put this team together, this is why we're here.
Yeah.
And you start talking about the matchups. You talk about that secondary against those receivers. You talk about that defensive front against a Kansas City offensive line that's going to be starting a couple of rookies and is completely revamped. Those things are things that are real now, my friend, and it's damn good to be here and glad that they are.
We're certain it's great to have you here, first of all. It just brings a certain, what the French call an I don't know what, to the whole experience. And we're back.
As you were saying, I don't know what was said and what wasn't
I don't know
said.
what you haven't heard.
I don't
but
know
we're
what you
happy
haven't-
to be here. It is exciting. We were really some great pontification was happening.
Gibby, do the people on the stream, Gibby's trying to sort things out. We got
The stream was still going.
so the stream people
So
got
the
it.
stream-
Okay,
if
the stream
if
people.
you're
at
on the
least.
stream, you got a little bonus.
Little bonus.
What did you miss if you weren't on
if
the
you
stream?
weren't on the stream?
We
Everything-
were off for about 30 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that was just me talking.
Much of
Nobody-
our
who wants to
greatness
hear
was
that
there.
Anyway, that's right.
Much of our
I don't know.
greatness
I'm
was
going to go find IT because I don't know what's going on.
Did we get the je ne sais quoi part? Did that go over the air?
so good? I hope that went up.
I don't
Gibby's
know.
looking.
Je ne sais quoi did not go over the air, unfortunately.
But what about I don't know what?
Oh,
Maybe
a
that
certain
did.
I don't know what. I don't
Who
know.
knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
We're happy to be here. By the way, when the Chiefs released their first, official depth chart or unofficial depth chart, because those are done by the PR staffs, not necessarily the coaches.
Yeah.
3 rookies on the offensive line.
Right.
I will tell you this. This Browns defensive line is going to be a handful. And, in fact, for our own offensive line,
Yeah.
which is probably the best in the NFL, it has been a handful to deal with in some of these competitive practice situations as the Browns get ready to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. And you think about, Miles and Clowney and McKinley when they get into that NASCAR package, and Malik. The 2 Maliks, that's not a story that we thought we were going to be talking about going into week 1. And I think it's going to be your starting defensive line
It's incredible.
is going to be Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney, Malik Jackson, and Malik McDowell.
You never would have had it.
His first NFL snap
Yeah.
ever will be against the Kansas City Chiefs, likely lined up next to Malik Jackson and either Jadeveon Clowney or Myles Garrett
4 years after his original draft.
after
class.
his draft 2017. That's right.
Yeah, it's a while. I was talking to Adam Teicher this morning, and I'm sure we'll have him on at some point this week. We always have him on when we talk Chiefs, and he thought 2 for sure, but then now 3 potentially. And again, to your point, that's PR driven, not necessarily coach driven. But there's usually some truth to that. That is a place where they had to invest because of what happened in the Super Bowl. They feel like they did it, but at the same time, 3 rookies against that What a way.
You come in. I feel like this. I'm
going
telling all
home.
of y'all,
I'm
it's a
going home.
sabotage.
The streamers can hear you.
I can't
going
stand
home.
it. Somebody planned it. Bo is back, and now the show's not working.
I'm going
What's
home.
going on?
I'm hopping on the turnpike. I'm going home.
Just program it. You don't even have to drive.
I'm thinking
Get on La
about-
Flama Blanca.
For the streamers, give them this the bonus content here. I'm thinking about what the situation would have been like doing this show right now if I were still at home, because I would be on the air. You would not be.
That's right. That's right.
Is how
That's
that would
right.
go.
Yeah.
And I would be just pontificating about various things, waiting until we got on, stretching until we were on.
People are not happy. The stream
the
is
people-
now, I'm being told, is not good. Nobody's happy. Nana's upset.
This is Nana's whole
Nana, she just wants the first 20 minutes. That's what she lives for. 1 to 120, then she's out.
Right. And the pure
Too much
joy of it.
football, pure joy of it. But look, this is what's fun about it.
Is the stream up? Are we still
I don't know.
on it?
People are saying that maybe that's not even up. I have no idea.
We're still streaming? Okay, we're still streaming. Okay.
Sure. Okay. All right.
God bless you.
This season, and you can feel it. Walking in here today, there is a buzz that is palpable at the Cross Country Mortgage campus that was not here even as excited as everybody was, because it's game week, and we all know what that means. Look, the AFC is loaded, brother. Let's just be honest about it. It is not. We're not just going to roll our helmets out there and roll our way right to the AFC Championship game. This is a tough division that we're in with a Steelers team that hasn't been below 500 ever under Mike Tomlin. The Ravens are still pretty darn good. The Bengals, while things are not looking so great at the moment, still have a lot of talent. And then you think about the Bills, and you think about, the teams like the Chiefs, some other sleeper teams. People are big on New England all of a sudden now that Mac Jones is in there, saying, "Oh, Tom Brady's back. The Patriots are back."
Everyone's
But
excited, yeah.
this is a tough conference, and every game matters. And this one, what I think is great for a season that is starting with these expectations or this much hype, is that we get to start on the road against a team that nobody expects us to beat. We are an underdog in that game, which is great, but we have a chance to go out there and make a real strong statement.
We do. It's the perfect opener, too, because of what is expected of them, the excitement that you have here internally, that you have in the fan base, that you have around the country, around the world, if you will. And you if you come out and play, if you come out and win, it's euphoria. If you come out and lose, it's all right. You get 16 weeks. I mean, you want to win.
Yes.
You got 16 weeks. You got a long time. You'll see them again. You're going to see Kansas City twice this year. I mean, I think it feels pretty safe to me to say that you'll see them twice.
That's the plan.
That's the plan, right? Like, they're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. So in that sense, it's really the perfect opener for us to be able to open this way. I'm thrilled for it. And you think about the improvements we made. You think about the improvements they made. I know that they think that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is somebody they can count on this year.
Yep.
And that he's going to have a big year. He missed 3 games last year, almost 900 yards rushing, getting acclimated, no camp. Now all of a sudden he had a camp. What's that look like?
I talked to B. West about this, Brian Westbrook, who played for Andy Reid back in the day, and he says, as a rookie running back, no matter how much he likes you, he's not going to give you everything.
Yeah.
You've got to kind of go through a season, and in your second year, he said he's going to have the opportunity to do a lot more. So for fantasy people who haven't drafted yet, he's a guy that people took in the first round last year, burned a lot of them.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to have a very solid season in year number 2 in an excellent offense. And I think that's what's exciting about this is all the talk about our defense and how excited we are for our defense. Well, you get as good of a test as you could possibly want right out of the gate in week 1 against Kansas City Chiefs. And you have the potential to attack them in a similar way to what the Buccaneers did in the Super Bowl, which is dominate the line of scrimmage. And when you talk about bringing in a Jadeveon Clowney to go with Myles Garrett, you talk about bringing in a Malik Jackson, you talk about unearthing a potential diamond in a Malik McDowell, you talk about bringing in a Tack McKinley, who, including the playoffs, had 15 sacks his first 2 years in the league. It's about getting to the quarterback and disrupting teams who are better throwing the football than they are running it. The Chiefs, prime example of that. Getting after Mahomes, JOK to run around with Kelsey. And I can't believe people keep putting out the headline that he said he's ready for Travis Kelsey. He said he's ready to play.
Right.
He did not call out Travis Kelsey, who, by the way, had, 1,400 yards, led the league in 20-yard receptions a year ago, and puts moves on cornerbacks that are difficult for them to deal with. So, but this defense, the back end of it, was crafted to deal with a team like the Chiefs. The linebacking core, with the addition of Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, was crafted to deal with a team like the Chiefs, and the front was. And so That's what's going to be fun. And it's going to happen. It's going to be real. We can see it on Madden right now.
Oh, it's fun.
The Browns are
so fun.
I'm having way too good of a time playing with the Browns on Madden. But this is now it's real. And I think it's very exciting.
Yeah, it is. And to kick it off the way that we do, to have the 4 o'clock start, to have the national game of the week, all of those things that we have, it's outstanding. It's everything that you wanted. It's something this fan base has waited for a very long time, something this ownership has relentlessly strived to get to the point and pursued at no cost, was missed in an effort to get there. And so you're there now, and you're in a window. This is the beautiful thing about it. And this is where Kansas City is too. And I think if you bring it full circle, it gets to the point you're making about the AFC. Not only is Kansas City in the beginning of a very long window, we're in the beginning of a very long window. Buffalo's in the beginning of a very long window. It's possible the Chargers are in the beginning of a very long window, and so forth around the league. Miami feels like maybe they're a quarterback away from being in a window. Denver in a window with a quarterback. There's these spots everywhere, and you start talking about the good teams in the AFC. My goodness, go around 3 teams in our division, and I think Cincinnati's going to be frisky offensively. You talk about the South, Tennessee, Indy, Jacksonville. They still got the kid at quarterback for all of the stuff off the field. Like, he's good. He's going to be a problem down the road. They're going to be frisky because of him. Sure. It's going to be awful at the beginning, but I mean, he's still somebody you got to contend with. You start going around outside of really Houston. Every spot in the AFC, there's reason for optimism. I think probably the Raiders, there's not a whole lot there either. But other than that, everybody else feels pretty good about where they're at. Yeah, and where they're going.
You even talk the Chargers with Herbert. You talk about the Chiefs. Even the Denver Broncos with Vic Fangio. A lot of people think that's a top 10 defense. Well, Teddy Bridgewater for his career, when he's had a top 10 defense, wins about 66% of his games. And he's got pretty darn good weapons. That's a team that is not maybe going to be the prettiest, but I think is going to be very effective. So, yeah, the AFC is tough, and for the Browns, you got to take it one day at a time and start here with Kansas City, see what you can do before you get to come home and have 2 kind of nice games in a row, it would feel like, at First Energy Stadium. But this is exciting because now it's real, and you're back, and we're back, and
it's all good.
Football's back. I mean, we have a game in 2 days. The Bucs and the Cowboys are in 2 days.
It's crazy. It's nuts to think that you're going to play. The guys got back on the field today. Chase McLaughlin is your kicker. In terms of back at practice, Treader, Hill, Hollywood returned to practice. Michael Dunn, the only one who was not at practice. So that gives you kind of an update of where to go. I would tell you that it's one thing to be back at practice. It's another thing to be game ready. And so you got till Sunday at 4 o'clock. But this will be worth monitoring as the week goes along in terms of those being back at practice and those who are ready to go.
Right. And everybody is supposedly on track that you would want to see, which would be a Grant Delpit, a Greedy Williams, a Troy Hill. How much will they be incorporated into the game plan this week? I think that will start to take shape on Wednesday. I think that starts to take shape tomorrow because this is like a normal week, your first real day of practice for that game, that comes on Wednesday. You're putting your install, everything that you're going to be doing, and then you're getting your situations Thursday, Friday, red zone, goal line, all of those things. But tomorrow's practice, to me, and the reps, because I think we're going to move out of the ones versus one scenarios. Maybe you'll get a couple plays at practice of just a competitive situation, but for the most part, it's going to be about your offense working against the Chiefs defense and what you expect from them, and our defense working against the Chiefs offense, not Browns offense versus Browns defense. So the game plan, I think, really starts to take shape tomorrow in terms of, will we see Delpit involved? Will we see Greedy involved? I know MJ Stewart is back and is very much involved. Will we see, Troy Hill back and involved? That's when that takes shape. So tomorrow, that's probably the big day there. This is like a normal week now. They had that extra practice yesterday, off today, and then they'll go in there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday before they get on the plane and take that business trip to Kansas City.
In terms of additions to the practice squad, one made over the weekend. Ifa Adio, you do. You got it?
Ifeadi Odenigbo.
Private school.
Ifeadi Odenigbo.
Ifeadi Odenigbo.
6'3", 258, 15 starts in 32 games with the Vikings, totaling 59 tackles, 10.5 sacks, 10 tackles for loss, a forced fumble, and 2 fumble recoveries.
Quite a bit of...
Pretty good in 2 seasons, it feels like right there. 10.5 sacks, 10 tackles for loss. What I will say about him is that name may sound familiar to some of you. That was the same guy that we cut Carl Nassib for after he made the initial 53
is that right?
in 2019 with the Browns. They brought him in. He was inactive for 3 games and then released, and I think went back to Minnesota and obviously had some productive time there with the Minnesota Vikings. So he is now in the system, and when you think about it, defensive end, all of a sudden here you've got active or on the 53, I should say. You've got Miles, you got Jadeveon Clowney, you got Tack McKinley, you've got Joe Jackson. On the practice squad, you've got Porter Gustin, you have got Curtis Weaver, and you have got now Mr. Adenabo, who has just joined the roster. So you still have 7 defensive ends here in the building. And when you think about the fact that you have 6 defensive tackles in the building, the 5 that are active plus Sheldon Day. So you're
a lot of at-bats there.
Pretty robust there. And I think for Joe Jackson, you got to keep earning your spot here on this roster.
You certainly do. And those were your OBM Hot Topics. Ohio Business Machine, preferred copier provider, your Cleveland Browns. You have all the X's and O's for your office. Call 216-485-2000 or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. Also, if you will notice, if you're watching us on the stream, and frankly, I think that's the only way you're getting this program right now, you'll notice that the Browns Bundle is back at Buffalo Wild Wings for the 2021 season. Participating Ohio Buffalo Wild Wings locations during the 2021 season, the purchase of a Browns Bundle, fans get a limited edition collectible Cleveland Browns glass. The $14.99 Browns Bundle includes a 6-piece swing, fries, Browns glass. This week collection honors the Browns' 75th anniversary with 3 unique designs: the 75th anniversary logo, throwback brownie, and the 1946 patch. So you have that to look forward to, which is nice. We are off and running here on a Tuesday edition, Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Daily. Bo and Z.
I believe that was head coach Kevin Stefanski.
That was.
At the podium. Indeed it was.
That was coach. So coach was at the podium there. I'm not So that's obviously it's been a bit of a rough sledding here out of the gates. But I think we're back now. We've not.
We just went off the air again. We're on the stream.
We're on the stream.
But that podium session was 5 minutes or something. When did it start playing? Because we didn't stop talking 6 minutes ago.
Why is it
We had
lasting
one
for
commercial.
30 seconds and then that's it? I'm so
Oh,
confused.
Gibbe is so unhappy right now.
It is.
It is
I don't even know what to tell you right now.
Well,
We're doing a show for the people on the stream.
we love those people. You love those people.
I mean,
I
right
have
now there's
questions.
518 people watching you on.
These are our people. I wouldn't be surprised. Listen,
Yeah.
let me ask you this, Gibby, just from my vantage point in terms of, is it important that we just do the reads?
Yeah. Let's
Okay.
get the reads
Get
in,
the
and
reads
we'll get
in,
the content
take care
in.
of
You
the
guys
people,
can have
and
a
we
little
do the best
banter
we
here
can.
right now.
Well, I like that. Yeah, we can talk about the weekend that was, and we'll just follow the show script for the people on the stream.
That's right.
That's how it goes. And as you've probably figured out by now, I am Beau Bishop. I'm here for my friends at Raising Cane's. Raising Cane's presents the other rules of football. Rule 1, serving cooked-to-order chicken finger meals always earns you extra points. Number 2, no penalty for excessive cane sauce dipping. Raising Cane's mobile app ready to tackle all your chicken finger game day needs. When it comes to winning game day, Cane's rules. It is one love and a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Go Bucks. So you hear Coach there in some of his availability, and now you start to push forward and you talk about health. The NFL ready to push forward. We'll get games on Thursdays.
Yes.
In a somber, not somber, but in a serious moment, there's trepidation, I think, around the league. You had guys who peeled out for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you worried about COVID spikes. We saw it certainly at the University of Georgia.
Oh, Miss K. There she is. Oh, kisses for Beau.
The angel. There she is.
There she is.
So yeah, I saw there were some COVID spikes in college, and there was probably some worry around the league, like, hey, let's make sure that we're smart here, and that we get everybody back in a decent form. And so far, it seems like we're good in that shape, but who knows?
Right, and you want to get through, this week, obviously, as you mentioned, the 3 days. And when I talked with Kevin Stefanski last week about that, I don't think he loved that. I don't think he loved that new little wrinkle in the CBA.
I don't blame him.
He said you never had guys going off for a couple of days, and the Browns got him back. And I can tell you that yesterday's practice, the coaches were very pleased. So everybody came back focused and locked in and ready to go, which is great to see. I can also tell you that Odell is ready to go.
It's funny.
And when I mean he's ready to go, I mean he is looking spectacular.
He's real and he's spectacular.
That's right.
Yeah,
he is.
That's
right, Jerry.
It's an interesting point in his career, right? Because it's been a while since he's had a fully healthy season. When he is fully healthy, he delivers. It's just that he hasn't had that. He's coming off of a big injury. Certainly, he's getting up in age in terms of from an NFL standpoint, in terms of from an age standpoint. He's never been on a team this good.
No,
he's never been on a team this good,
and he's never gone into a season with lower external expectations for him or less chatter about him ever. And I think he is flying under the radar and ready to put on a show. I do think that this offensive system by nature is going to limit him in some way. This isn't an offense where you get the number one receiver and you throw him 170 targets. That's not going to happen. But he can easily go over 1,000 yards. He can easily go over 15 yards a catch, and he can have a lot of touchdowns and be a very efficient and productive receiver here. And I expect that. He looks great. And I think their plan all along, the way that they went about it, was probably difficult because you could see what he was doing and wanted to probably see it in some team settings, and now you're getting to see that, and the returns are phenomenal. But I really think Odell's time away turned on a little light bulb for him in this particular offense and organization, which was, I know how talented I am.
Yep.
This is not disparaging anybody else that's running routes for this football team while I'm out, but I believe I have some more natural gifts than perhaps some of them, and they're out there averaging 16, 20 yards a catch and having the time of their lives. We've got music. I don't know what it means, but
we do.
We do.
Rex 1 here for us. So we are going to...
We're just having a great discussion. I don't know if it's...
this All right, welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily. Obviously having some technical difficulties on that side of things, but we'll get these things sorted
Let's hope
out.
the game goes smoother.
Well, we got, I think it has to.
Well,
I don't know.
It
that
doesn't have to.
I don't know that it could.
Last year, week 1 went about like this.
Well, that's true. That's true. Did not.
So hopefully this year will be.
We were having a
better.
discussion in terms of, on the stream of things, and there you go. New Rob.
Yeah.
Been a long time
Kane's
since I
not
seen-
for us.
We were we were talking in the on the stream as we've done the show on the stream as we were having some radio difficulties about Odell Beckham Jr. and the impact he can have. It's funny you say that because it's when I find myself talking with friends and family about the team, I find myself forgetting that he's here.
He's the forgotten man right now.
He is, and you brought that point up when you were talking, just a couple of minutes ago, where the radio audience didn't hear it, and this is the first time in his career where he did not have that. There are no external expectations, as you put it, which is a remarkable thing for a guy who hit the NFL like a comet, and now nobody expects much of anything of him. When you break down what our offense can or can't be, you often forget that, we didn't have him last year, right? So now you do. You make a great point when you think about receivers who maybe don't possess the physical traits that he has with the yards per catch. It's also he has something that our offense lacked last year. He's got it in spades.
That's right, the ability to get vertical, and Anthony Schwartz is going to add some speed to this offense as well. But what I was saying is when he was out, he's watching guys, and again, who are very talented NFL receivers, putting up monster numbers in this offense. And I think he sat back and he said to himself, all they're doing is running this offense and running their routes exactly as they are coached to run them. And this offense is providing many opportunities for them to be successful when they do that. And so maybe with my great talents, let's go. JYD stroll in here. Look at that.
That's
just
it.
a nice casual Tuesday.
Senior swag.
Just a nice casual Tuesday.
Oh my
gosh. It's game week. Let's go.
That's how you roll. Was that a cream pant?
It did appear to be. It did. It was nice. It was
Jeez.
very nice with some little were those like low Air Force Ones?
Air Force Ones. Yeah, looked like, boy, really incredible. The cream pant.
Strong.
As you were saying.
I
mean, how could anybody have a train of thought after that walk?
Well, fortunately, we're a huge beast, so we're going to get it right back to it. But I think Odell realized, and he said it at his camp, and I go back to this quote, which I think was a big kind of turning point for him and what it can mean for this offense, when he said, I've got to fit into the way they run their offense, not their offense has to fit me. And so Odell, while he wasn't in team drills, and everybody's saying, when do we get to see him in team drills? And I'm sure it was hard for the coaches not to get him out there because of how good he was looking off to the side. He was getting intense one-on-one work with Baker Mayfield, working on the precision of the route running. And they, in fact, would even do some scripted periods where it was like a drive, where they'd have a 6-play succession moving down the field, Odell running his route, sometimes blocking as though he would in a script, to get it exactly how they wanted it. And all I'm seeing so far is now that he's into these team periods is him looking tremendous. And I do think that he's a forgotten about guy. As I mentioned, he's never had less external hype around him, less expectation. I think he has an opportunity to be incredibly efficient in this offense and really be a dynamic playmaker for the Browns this year. And I'm excited for it because I like him. I like him a lot. And I don't think people realize how hard he works, how much he wants it, what a great teammate he is, and how much he just wants to win. And now he has a chance to be a part of real winning.
Yes, he does. And you think about when Coach Stefanski got here and you remembered back to the offenses that he had with Diggs and Thielen and the ability to have both of those things, the levels in this offense. Well, you have that now.
Yep.
A healthy Odell Beckham Jr. gives you that. And you add that to everything else you have, and it's a recipe for an offense. And we've spent so much time, to your point, talking about the defense and the improvements. But the reality is that offensively, we have a chance to take it to another level as well. Year 2 with Baker in the offense, running everybody back, and Odell Beckham Jr. in the mix. So for all of those reasons, this is a pretty phenomenal opener for the Cleveland Browns. And that's there's a reason Romo and Nance are on it.
Yes.
That's why they're on it.
It's the game. It's the top game of week 1.
Yeah.
It is the most anticipated game in the NFL in week number 1. And we get to be a part of it. We've, earned that right to be a part of it based on what we did last year and based on what we did this off season, but we have to continue to earn that right throughout the season. You know, we are a team that has so much potential on paper. We've got great coaching staff. We've got a lot of talent. And now it's about going out and executing and turning those into wins, which is, at the end of the day, that's all that matters. That's how this team will be judged, because there are expectations. It is not an easy road. If you threw this team in the NFC, I think we could get real chesty about
for sure
where you'd be, at least from a low, a floor. Your floor would still be so high. In the AFC, it's tougher, but it's all right there. I have a ton of belief in this team. I know you have a ton of belief in this team and this coaching staff. This is going to be fun, and this is a great right out of the gate. I think it's going to feel like a playoff game. I think there's going to be that
it's
kind of
gonna
intensity.
have that kind of buzz.
Yes.
I know Kansas City's excited for it. They can't wait to get back on the field and see what they're all about. And I think it's going to have that feel. I think
you think we're on the air?
I think we're on the stream.
I do too.
I think we're on the stream. I don't think we're on the radio.
What's Gibbe have to say?
No, you're not on the radio. Not yet. Still on the stream.
My favorite part of this entire exercise. This is my favorite part of this entire exercise.
None of this is I don't have a favorite part.
No. This is my favorite part.
Thief of joy.
This is Thief of Joy. But we have no idea when we're on and when we're not.
No.
That's really the most amazing
We're just
thing
talking.
of this entire thing, is that we have no idea. We're taking breaks where we don't know if we would have to take them. We have no idea. Why would we need to?
I realized there was something really amiss when you and I had done a segment that we threw it to break that felt like we were on the radio, and then we came back 3 minutes later, and Kevin Stefanski's 5-minute and 40-second podium session had 12 seconds left in it. And I said, well, the math there doesn't add up.
Yeah.
To me, anyway.
I see, again, private school education. It's a good job of you going straight to the math. So that's where you are. From the Kansas City side of things, for the streamers out there, Kansas City, Willie Gay on IR. He's out for at least 3 weeks. The linebacker, safety Tyrann Mathieu placed on the COVID-19 list. He tested positive for COVID, but he's vaccinated, so he could be back Sunday. He must test negative twice within that 24-hour period, and that's the big difference among many for vaccinated versus unvaccinated players is the ability to get back quickly. And so Mathieu would be able to get back quickly based on the fact that he is fully vaccinated. From Andy Reid, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who I think could be could have a really big season for them, and then Darrell Williams, both expected to play Sunday as well. You mentioned kind of the headline for them, though, in that initial depth chart. Again, that's PR-driven, not coach-driven, but 3 rookies on that offensive line to start for Kansas City on Sunday. So that is not a recipe for where we are.
No, and when you think about, you go back to the Super Bowl a year ago, the way that Tampa Bay really was able to undo that offense was to basically destroy him at the line of scrimmage. And he was under pressure. I remember going back and doing it. We'll have that when we dive more into this week. We'll have all that for you. But I remember going back and looking at it, and he was under duress. I think it was something like 90% of his dropbacks or something. It was crazy. Yeah. Whatever the number was, it was nuts. And what Pat Mahomes did was actually, under the circumstances, quite incredible. But this is a guy who has to now, deal with potentially a changing line in front of him and an opportunity for the Browns to disrupt that. So last year in the Super Bowl, he was under pressure. It says 60% of his dropbacks. 60% of his dropbacks, he was under pressure.
Yeah.
And when he was under pressure, he was 9 of 26 for 78 yards with an interception. When he was not under pressure in that Super Bowl, he was 17 of 23 for 192. Big difference. Big difference. The key will be to disrupt, and I think if you're the Browns, you've got to feel like your chance to do that is with your remade defensive front that's going to have 3 new starters and in sub-packages, 3 new pass rushers against an offensive line that's starting 3 rookies.
Yeah.
And has, 4 or 5 new starters from a year ago?
5 new starters, 3 rookies. Yeah, that's where you're at. And we'll get into that matchup as the week goes along. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. welcome back in to the program. Am I on? No. Welcome back into the program. On air. Boy, that never happened. I was undefeated almost against it in the entire
because we don't know. We're not on air.
We don't know if we're on air. We're
on the
streams.
Stream. This is for you guys. We told Gibbe. We said, fire up the stream again. Let's at least
talk.
If you're here and I'm here, we might as well talk.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's also pass along this information. The Browns High School Football Game of the Week, presented by Ohio Cat in association with MedLiminal. Fans can vote now to determine this week's game on ClevelandBrowns.com, at Browns Twitter. Poll closes Thursday at noon. This week's candidates: Talmadge at Highland, Medina at Stowe, Lakewood against Rocky River, Brush versus Mogador. The winning team from the selected game receives $2,500 for their high school football program. Vote today. Medina at Stowe. That has a 5-star quarterback. Medina's got a 5-star quarterback, Drew Alar, who's going to Penn State, who is an Elite 11 kid. Really one of the most accomplished high school quarterbacks we've had in Northeast Ohio in quite a while in terms of the way he's regarded in recruiting. And I believe Stowe's quarterback, he might be going to Bowling Green, I think. I think there's a decent chance Stowe's quarterback's going to Bowling Green. So that's a big-time quarterback matchup there with Medina and Stowe.
Sounds pretty good.
Well, good. Yeah. After Thursday night, might need it.
Who do you play Thursday?
We played Tennessee. We were down 14-6 at half, and then Tennessee remembered they were Tennessee.
Yeah, that happens.
That's going to happen.
That'll happen from time to time.
It was a strong opening half, and you just ran into a little trouble.
Well, yeah, that'll happen when you do that a little bit. Kent State hung with Texas A&M for a little while, and Akron less so. I think they played Auburn, but Kent State did hang around with Texas A&M.
I wish we could get Demetric Felton. I wonder if Demetric Felton had anything to say to the bevy of LSU stars on our football team. Or as a rookie who hasn't played a game in the NFL yet, do you not say anything?
Our LSU guys are such luminaries that it would be, an incredible thing to have the chutzpah to go and.
Well, I saw in the Minnesota Vikings locker room.
Okay.
Eric Kendricks, the excellent linebacker, went to UCLA and walked around. I believe it was Daniil Hunter, Justin Jefferson, and Pat Pete.
Some dudes.
Not bad. And gave each of them a UCLA hat.
Nice.
To commemorate. Justin Jefferson put it on. Daniil Hunter smacked it like a volleyball spike, and Pat Pete just started laughing and turned back to his locker. But I'm curious does Demetric Felton.
That would be a fun. Yeah,
do you say anything to a Jarvis or an Odell?
Yeah. Maybe those guys because he's in the room with them and he knows them a little bit. You have a little bit. UCLA has had so little to crow about for all these so long. It's been so long. So to finally have something was pretty cool.
How stunned do you think today, like young people today, would be to know that Troy Aikman went there?
Oh, buddy, there's so many of those. If you watched like Miami over the weekend, you saw Ed Reed on the sidelines. He's like a recruiting analyst. He helps, and they were just overwhelmed by Alabama. And you realize that at one point Miami was Alabama from a talent standpoint.
Oh,
They didn't win the national championships that Alabama has under Saban. They won several, but not like Saban. But from a talent standpoint, they were an equal or better from a talent standpoint. And to see them just overwhelmed by Alabama, it was a remarkable weekend for them.
I would imagine anybody who's, let's call it 15 years or younger, who's into the NFL, when they see a superstar, would probably immediately assume that they went to Bama, Ohio State, Clemson,
LSU, Georgia.
An SEC school. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same. We talked about it last week on the show. It's a consolidation of talent.
Or that like Tom Brady went to Michigan, like that would have.
That's impossible.
Blow their
minds.
Would
never happen. It would never happen now. No, it would never happen. That's what's become of that sport. That being said, though, one thing that was cool about this weekend in college football was that places like Virginia Tech, where not going to win anything, but they played 10th ranked North Carolina. There was 80,000 people there. They played Enter Sandman, and they beat them. They beat Sam Howell. And Tulane came within 30 yards of beating Oklahoma in Norman. There were those type of experiences. The jump around at Wisconsin was awesome between two teams who can't figure out how to throw the ball in Penn State and Wisconsin. There was all those great games, throughout the weekend. And, Bama's just Bama. They're just on a different level than even the halves. They're different. You saw what happened to Clemson. Clemson had, if you take out DJ Uyunglele, the quarterback, if you take out his performance rushing the ball, which is like negative 22 yards. They had like 9 carries for 20 yards, the Clemson tailbacks. I mean, they had 2 yards rushing as a team against Georgia.
That's not great.
No. So that's kind of where you are. As we get you set around the league, a couple of news and notes around the league that kicks off this weekend. The Houston Texans named Tyrod Taylor their starting quarterback. Deshaun Watson still expected to be on the 53-man roster, but is expected to be a healthy scratch for Houston on game days. So what did they do? Did they just come up with a deal with Deshaun to say, hey, we're not going to cut you, but we're not going to fine you? Like, what are they doing?
I have no idea. It feels outrageous. They're paying him.
Yes. And I don't know are they not fining him? Are they saying,
For
hey,
what?
Yeah, are they? I don't know. I don't know what happened there. He's there. Well, right, but he's inactive on game days.
That's
like
their decision.
I guess so. What if they forced him to play?
I don't know.
Like, what if you said, "Well, you're a starting quarterback. 2 weeks in Cleveland."
Imagine if you said, "I'm not. I won't be your starting quarterback." Maybe that's conduct detrimental. But
Then you could fine.
I would imagine that
It
if
seems
they
like
had recourse to stop the payments to him, that it would be happening.
I would think if you named him the starter, that would do it.
Well, he was
Will
not
you
named
force
the
his
starter.
hand? No. So
Tyrod Taylor's name started. By the way, real quickly, because
Go
this
ahead.
just happened on Twitter.
give it to me.
J.C. Tretter, who is our center, also the president of the NFLPA, has said, released his latest kind of statement on behalf of the NFLPA, and he is arguing or making the call to return to daily testing for all players despite the vaccination. He noted that 14 people within the Tennessee Titans organization, they've had 14 positives, even though the team was 97% vaccinated. So it's not hard to realize how devastating that would be during a week of the regular season, yet incidents like this have flown under the radar. Weekly testing cadence doesn't just increase the likelihood that games suffer because players are missing from the field, also increase the likelihood of a game being canceled altogether. If a game gets canceled, nobody gets paid for revenues lost from that game. So he does think that. Also, he wanted everybody to know the NFLPA had nothing to do with the taunting penalty, and they do not like it. We would support the removal of this point of emphasis immediately, he says.
So the interesting thing on the daily testing is, and this is just me talking, certainly no organizational representation, just a dude on the radio, or in this case on a live stream. What I would say is, if you have a 97% vaccination rate, and the point of the vaccination is to mitigate the effects of the virus on you. It's not a full safe. We all know that. I think everybody knows that. It's not a full safe, but it's to mitigate the effects. So if you are fully vaccinated and you're asymptomatic, why do I need to test you? For fear of further spread, I get, but
it's coming,
to what end? I don't understand.
There does seem to be a lot of data that suggests if you are asymptomatic while vaccinated and asymptomatic, that you are not a strong transmitter of the
Correct.
virus.
I saw that this morning as well. So
I'm with you. I think that's the better approach at this point. If you are vaccinated and you are asymptomatic, maybe there's, again, this is just my opinion because I'm trying to think about it. Why are we testing at this point? Because and now it's kind of like any other sickness, right? The unvaccinated, that's the issue. And that's where you can have real problems within a building. And there are only a couple teams, I think, that are at 100%. We know, look, for anybody who drafted Dalvin Cook or Justin Jefferson or Adam Thielen, and I happen to have all of them across my various fantasy teams, Kirk Cousins, it is possible Kirk Cousins will test positive on a Sunday morning and be out at that time.
Yes. Yep. The same would be true of Carson Wentz.
Lamar, I feel like since he's had it twice, probably is not going to test positive again, but
who knows?
You never know.
Could.
Right? You never know. But those are the situations and the things that people are dealing with. And I wonder if you will ever get to that point. I wonder if you will ever get to the point where that's how it's viewed. If you're vaccinated, there is no testing unless you become symptomatic.
Right.
Because if you're symptomatic, then, if you feel any symptoms, stay home. Don't come in.
Right.
We'll figure out a way to get you tested, and then if you are, you'll isolate. I know people who have had breakthrough cases without symptoms.
Yeah.
Vast majority with completely asymptomatic, but some who have had some symptoms.
Yeah, it is. All right, much more to come. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
Here I am on a cell phone. Here Beau is on a cell phone. And we're talking to each other. Just a couple of guys talking ball. That's all.
Couple of dudes. Boy, just from a when you think about from these first couple of weeks of practice, what's the game flow back? We've never had this where a team goes away for 3 days. That's never happened in the NFL.
Great
so
question.
Happened. What is this? What's the week flow look like for Kevin Stefanski as he gets his team ready?
So I think Monday was kind of the last day of camp, as it were. Because
Okay.
I think that was a practice where you still saw the Browns ones on offense against the Browns ones on defense. You saw some competitive periods, and I'm sure you were putting some things in for Kansas City, but it wasn't. You hadn't done the game planning. That's going to happen, today and tonight and tomorrow morning, and you're going to lay out, your early down plays, your third down packages, and then get into, your 4-minute offense, your 2-minute offense, your red zone, high red zone, low red zone. All of those things get put in as the week goes on. So I think the practices will transition beginning tomorrow into Browns offense versus scout team defense, Browns defense versus scout team offense, and a complete preparation for the Chiefs. Now you may see some minor competitive periods just to keep those juices flowing,
Yeah.
ones versus ones, ironing, sharpening iron. But it is about getting ready for the Chiefs, and that's going to be the normal program. It's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Those are the 3 days, the Wednesday early down install, and then you get into the more specifics and situational football as you go through the week and get ready to travel Saturday to Kansas City. So they were off today, just like they would be normally.
Normal off.
Normal Tuesday off, and then they will have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and tomorrow will be the first, I think, real dive into the game plan. And I think, they probably put a couple things out just to see how did our one defense respond to this particular play? How did our one offense respond to this particular blitz or look? Just to kind of see some things and test them out. But now I think it's going to be full on about just getting ready for that game, scout team, and what you expect to see from Kansas City. And the good news for the Browns is you've played this offense and you've played this defense. They've played our offense, not with Odell Beckham Jr.,
Right.
but they haven't played this defense. This is a completely new look defense, and it will be new schematically in many ways. Even though the defensive coordinator is the same, Joe Woods is going to be able to unleash things this year that he just wasn't capable of unleashing a year ago.
No, I mean, he made chicken salad last year is what he did. I mean, that was a pretty remarkable job out of Joe Woods. And I think the other thing is while we've seen their offense, we have not seen we have not seen these new faces up front. But the far bigger adjustment, I think, is, and I can't wait to see this. I can't wait to see what year 2 with a full offseason looks like for our offense.
Agreed.
We talked in the offseason about tempo, and that was just a hunch. Like, is it possible you want to add that? What does that look like? How do you integrate these other weapons into this offense? You think about, we took off in the bye week. We took off in Cincinnati in the bye week. That's when this offense elevated, right?
Yep.
Well, now all of a sudden you have a whole offseason. You integrate Odell Beckham Jr. back into it. What does it look like? How do we go about our business? What's our approach? And they haven't seen that yet. And you go back to the preseason game with Atlanta. You and I both took pretty quick notice of the orbit motion that they ran, which is a very clear homage to what Andy Reid does in Kansas City. Nothing Kevin Stefanski does is on accident. That was put out there. Hey, think about this. We have this as well. Here's Anthony Schwartz running a 9.
Yeah.
Let's put that on tape for you.
Yeah, here's a little Demetric Felton jet motion with a throwback screen to the backside. These are all things for the Chiefs to be thinking about. And yes, I think that those plays were incredibly purposeful by Kevin Stefanski, things that we will likely do this season, and perhaps some things that we aren't going to do against the Chiefs, but that they have now taken time to prepare for. And I think that's what's going to be fun about it from the Browns standpoint. And that little chess game had started, a week early, or 2 weeks early, I should say, with that final preseason game and some of the starters getting a chance to play for the Cleveland Browns. This is a game that everybody's got circled. It's a game that everybody wants to see, that you turn on to Good Morning Football. Peter Schrager saying this is a playoff game in week 1. This is the talk of the National Football League in a week 1 that's got some really good games on the schedule. This is the one, though. This is the game.
Well, this is the one where you have two teams who are Super Bowl contenders. Mm-hmm. Legit. And I think there's other really cool matchups out there, and certainly the Thursday Nighter's a good one. Doesn't Pittsburgh play Buffalo? That's a fun game.
Yep.
The Packers play the Saints. There's some fun games out there. But in terms of true Super Bowl contenders against each other, this is the one. This is the one that you're going to see, and we're the only one that represents.
Yeah, and I think for the Browns, you have the opportunity to really hit the ground running. You're coming in as an underdog. You're coming in as a team that other people are expecting, you to lose in week 1 in Kansas City. And look, that's because of the respect of the Chiefs. That has nothing to do with us. We're very good, but so are the Chiefs. They're the 2-time defending AFC champions. The year before that, they lost in the AFC championship game. They have gotten to the final game of the conference 3 years in a row. They've won it 2 of the last 3. They've won a Super Bowl. This is a great football team with a great quarterback. And so for the Browns, this is a great test. And it's very different than last year. Last year, you were going against an excellent Ravens team that had won 14 of their last 15 games prior to week 1. And I realize it's a different season, but they were running the same offense, same principal players. And it showed. Week 1 was a struggle for us.
Yep.
This time, it should not be that way. It should not be a struggle. And in fact, this is an opportunity to unleash our talent. And we talked about, I think, for this game, it's a lot's going to come down to the Browns' ability to get after Mahomes in a way that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did in that Super Bowl. And if the Browns are able to do that and disrupt the flow of this offense, I think the Browns are going to have an excellent chance to come out and it's not shock the world. I think it would be a surprising outcome, but shock the world strong. But to go out there and win a game that most people think that they won't win.
Yeah, no, that the table is set, and we'll really start to carve in on some of the specifics of these matchups as the week goes along. Coming up next, we're going to visit with Jack Conklin. Oh, no, hold on, we're okay, we're all right.
Oh man, smell that Sharpie.
Oh boy.
We gotta pay some bills.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, we'll get those things in as well. We will get all of that stuff. Are we going to do Conklin next? Is that where? Oh no, JOK. All right, JOK coming up next. We will have that for you. We'll have Donovan Peoples-Jones as well. Obviously, technical difficulties here. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
Advantage has a local presence, but that global footprint, trusted by some of the world's biggest brands. I'm going to read a testimonial from EOX Vantage client Tom Daugherty, who's the Senior Vice President Specialty Programming at the NIP Group. I have a saying about working with EOX Vantage. If you dream it, they can build it. We generate lots of ideas for them to carry out. They've implemented everything we've come up with. We brainstorm ways to innovate and improve our company. We use EOX Vantage for their coding and programming capabilities, technological expertise, and experience working with global brands. We're absolutely thrilled with the partnership. Learn more from EOX Vantage by visiting EOXVantage.com or call 216-289-1616. Again, that's 216-298-1616. And now here's Z one-on-one with Jack Conklin.
Very happy now to be joined by Browns All-Pro, first-team All-Pro right tackle Jack Conklin. And Jack, what did that honor mean to you? You got it as a rookie, and then to get it again first year here with the Browns, to have that recognition, first-team All-Pro, best right tackle in the league.
It's crazy, and it all just comes down to the entire O-line. If we weren't such a great unit, I wouldn't have the opportunity to have that. With Wyatt right next to me and JC and the rest of the guys, and Coach Callahan with his guidance, just becoming a better and better player. And it's great to, like you said, get back to it after my rookie year, be able to show that I can do that again and be a much better player than I was then. You
talk about the line and the guys with you. Have you ever had this continuity where you're literally running it back? Forget just on the we'll start with the offensive line, but on offense, 22 of the 25 guys on the initial 53 were on the team last year.
Yeah, I don't thinking back, I don't think I've ever had an entire offensive back like this. I mean, be able to have that continuity coming into the season with everybody on the same page and not having to rebuild anything, it's pretty wild, and we're excited for the possibilities of what we can do.
So one of the things when you do that, right, is you have the opportunity to add in new wrinkles to this offense and add some things to it. Has that been fun without revealing any secrets? We don't want those secrets, but to be in there in the lab and kind of figuring out some of the new things you're going to add to this offense.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, just be able to come in day one of camp and everybody knows the plays. We're not installing. We are installing, but everybody's going through it much more easily. And by the end of camp, we were able to just start diving into more stuff, become more diverse, and just expanding our playbook. And it's going to be exciting to have all that new stuff in and just be more fluent in the stuff we were running last year. Just having everybody have a second camp of going through that and being confident.
You mentioned Bill Callahan as well, and a guy who's a venerable authority on offensive line play in this league. What's something that maybe you've learned from him, or a great pointer you've got from Coach Callahan in your time here?
I think my biggest thing is just the versatility. Just the amount of stuff he's brought into my game of just thinking of using more of the toolbox. Creating more stuff. Whether it's jumping more or just when I'm expecting stuff, how I can become instead of being a reactive offense line, being the guy who sets the table. Being able to, and that's his biggest thing, is just being able to make the defensive guy make the move and know what it's going to be because you made him make it. So I think that's one of the biggest things that's helped me personally.
Coach Peters, I find to be one of the more fascinating human beings on this planet. I mean, he looks like he's jacked out of his mind, chiseled out of stone, and then you talk to him and you find him to be this incredibly intellectual person who understands the physiology of the body probably better than anybody. Has he given you anything? Your thumbs need to be here. Just, the minutia of body placement and to get maximum strength is, I find fascinating. Is that something that you've enjoyed kind of learning and tapping into?
Yeah, definitely having that aspect. Because he was in MMA and doing that stuff, just of breaking down the hands and in the fluidity of the body, just figuring out. I think so much to talk about with the feet of an offensive lineman, and he's bringing in that aspect of the hands and just how you can break different locks. It all just with using the defensive players' hands against them. He's just teaching us little things like when they get their hands in, how you can get it off or even use it to lock them in. So it's pretty crazy stuff that I'd never heard of before, and he's definitely changing stuff.
Have you felt like when you've applied some of these things, you're like, oh wow, this is pretty cool?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely, he'll put it in and be like, I don't think this is ever going to work. And then it works. You're like, oh, well, I guess he actually doesn't know what he's doing here with the hands.
So I imagine you come into the league with Tennessee and you probably run cross paths with Jadeveon Clowney when he's down in Houston, and you're probably like, okay, all right, I won't see that guy again. Now you get to see him a lot of days, not every day in practice, we know, but a lot of days in practice here in this camp. And was that fun to kind of rekindle that rivalry and also to know that you're getting great work, right, every day in practice?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is the work. I mean, for Jed and I both, it's just having Miles and JD every day. You're not going to get better looks than that almost the entire year, and be able to work with them and not only just work with them during practice, be able to, after a rep, hey, talk to them about it. Hey, what do you see here? You know, what are you looking for? What's hard? What do you see in an offensive lineman that's hard to work against, and vice versa. And it's really been great to have him come in and be able to be a guy that I can talk to like that, and we can really rack our brains about just the play and try to get edges.
That's got to be a pretty cool thing, right? To kind of be able to see through the eyes of or the mind of an elite defensive end.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's special. You don't get that everywhere, and be able to have him here and Miles, it's just great. And I'm definitely happy I don't have to play both of them on Sundays.
Yeah, and I was talking with Joe about it, and he said, you know, Miles, the strength, the bend, all of those things that you wouldn't expect. And then he said, Clowney, his ability to make you miss him is what makes those guys so difficult, but also so different. And you get to kind of get a taste of both of that.
Yeah, definitely. You know, because they are such different players, and it really just grasps all of the different stuff you could see throughout the season. You know, it's not two guys that run the same stuff. It's a very versatile, different things, and it's just great practice. Again, it's just so much stuff we can see and get work on this camp that we're going to see throughout the season.
You guys just seem to be in command, and I'd say that from the offensive line. Baker, now in his second year in the system, seems so in command. We know the running backs, the receivers, and the emergence of a guy like DPJ and Hollywood. Just the depth and the command, the comfort. Do you feel that in the huddle? And it also seems like there's great camaraderie on this football team as well.
Yeah, I think it's just the confidence thing. You know, it's not as going in last year where we didn't know. We knew we were good, but we didn't know exactly how to win quite yet. And now coming into this year, you know, we know how to win, and now it's just building that confidence more and more to say, hey, you know, not only can we win, but you know, we can go to the Super Bowl. We can make a run here, and we're confident, and we know we can do it.
All right, let's go inside the O-line room for a second. Who's the funniest guy in the offensive line room?
Oh, geez, the funniest guy. I mean, probably Wyatt, but not because he's funny. It's because of the things he says, and then we just end up laughing at him.
What did you guys think of the Gator picture?
Oh, I mean, it's just Wyatt. I mean, he's a big hunter, but it was, of course, he had to put it on his back and get the picture. So it was funny, and we've given him a lot of crap for it.
Biggest eater in the offensive line room?
Oh, geez. I mean, it might be Wyatt again. Wyatt or Joel, probably. You know, those guards, they can eat.
They can put it in.
Yeah.
It's different for them. Are you into the shuffleboard crew in there with this offensive line? All right, so this is probably the one that matters the most, right? What's the most dynamic shuffleboard team in the offensive line room?
Oh, geez. I mean, right now it's at the top. It's probably JC and Joel. They probably got it going. Case and I we're starting to figure it out, and we're making a push, but we're still catching up to the guys who've been playing on it for quite a few years.
It's good sometimes to be the hunter, right, rather than the hunted, because it gives you a goal, and then you'll get there, and then one day you'll be wearing that crown.
Exactly. You know, they expect to win, so anytime we can make a push, it freak them out a little bit.
Get into their heads a little bit. So the season's going to open where the season ended a year ago in Kansas City. Obviously, that's something that is not lost on you guys, but is this an exciting opportunity to know that, look, we're coming out of the gate, we believe in ourselves, but we're going to go against the two-time defending AFC champions and really get a good test early in this season of where we're at?
Yeah, I think exactly what you said. It's a great test. You know, it's a chance for us to show that we can pick up where we left off. You know, we can come out and we can play these guys, and we can beat these guys.
1 minute.
Great game, and we wouldn't want a better test than a team that was in the Super Bowl the year before and won it the year before that. So it's really going to show us what we can do this year and what we got to do.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun there. We'll get you out of here on this one as I look at you right here. Tats all over the arms. Any significance? What do these mean? I feel like a scorpion over here. Which one's your favorite or the one that's the most significant to you?
Oh, geez. I mean, most of them are all family members. So my son was a Scorpio, and my daughter an Aries, so they got the Ram, and then my wife's Taurus, got the Bull, and then I'm a Leo Lion. So it's mostly all family stuff. So I would say that I always wanted to get tattoos, but I wanted to find a reason for meaning. So my family was the best way to do it, and so I would say
20.
Pretty big meaning to me.
That is awesome. And they're, by the way, pretty darn cool looking as well on top of that. Jack, pleasure talking to you. Good luck, and not this Sunday, but a week from Sunday when you get going in Kansas City. And it was always fun having you stop by.
Well, thank you very much for having me on.
All right, good stuff from Z and Jack on that front. I want to tell you about my friends at Raising Cane's. They present the other rules of football. Rule 1, serving cooked to order chicken finger meals always earns you extra points. Number 2, there's no penalty for excessive cane sauce dipping. Raising Cane's mobile app is ready to tackle all your chicken finger game day needs. When it comes to winning on game day, Cane's rules, one love, and a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics on that front. Also want to tell you, football is back. Football isn't football without friends, though. Watching the Browns game alone means no one's going to hear your amazing in-game analysis. Same is true with gambling. Keep your things social. Never gamble alone. It's just one of the helpful, responsible gambling tips you will find at keepitfunohio.com. Still so much more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Injuries during childbirth require experienced counsel. Call the lawyers at Elk & Elk for clear answers to what happened to your child's birth. Elk & Elk is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO today. And the Browns High School Football Game of the Week is back, presented by Ohio Cat in association with MedLiminal. Fans can vote now to determine this week's game on clevelandbrowns.com and at Browns on Twitter. Poll closes this Thursday at noon. The candidates are Talmadge versus Highland, Medina versus Stowe, Lakewood versus Rocky River, Brush versus Mogador. The winning team for the game receives a $2,500 for their high school football programs. It's a good job there. Big quarterback matchup in Medina and Stowe. Drew Alar, the 5-star kid out of Medina, and Stowe's got a kid, I believe, that's going to BG. So that's a pretty big quarterback matchup out in Stowe. Obviously, we've had a lot of technical difficulties on the program, but let's get you through the news of the day here in the last few minutes that we do have allotted to us. In terms of getting back on the practice field yesterday, Z, what jumped out at you in terms of who was there and the fact of the guys getting back out there?
Yeah, the good news was that J.C. Treader, Troy Hill, and Hollywood Higgins, congrats to him on the birth of his son, 7. They all returned to practice. Michael Dunn, the only player who did not practice. So the Browns as close to full strength in terms of health as they possibly could be. He's the only person with any kind of an injury designation at this juncture for the Browns, and you hope that's the case when they take the field on Wednesday. Chase McLaughlin will be your kicker for the Browns, at least in the season opener. Remember, they add another kicker to the practice squad, but it will be Chase for the game against the Chiefs and hopefully for the whole rest of the season, because that means he's making his kicks. The Browns filled out their practice squad, signing defensive end Ifeadi Odenigbo. Ifeadi Odenigbo, remember, was the guy the Browns signed when they released Carl Nassib back in 2019. 10.5 career sacks in 32 games with the Vikings. 6'3", 258 defensive end. He's now the 7th defensive end on campus for the Browns, as you've got on the active roster Miles, Jadeveon, Tack McKinley, and Joe Jackson. And on your practice squad, you've got Odenigbo as well as Curtis Weaver and Porter Gustin. So 7 defensive ends here, and that's obviously a position, that number 4 defensive end, that they're really going to be looking at going forward.
Can I tell you how great it is to hear the use of campus, like the cross-country mortgage campus? I love the campus. I love it.
You do.
I love the campus. I love.
For me, it harkens back to my college football
Sure.
days, covering being on campus for some big sporting events.
Well, as you like to say, nothing better than a big game on campus. You say that all the time. It's there, and you can feel it.
Second might as well be 8th.
Second might as well be. Also want to get you guys updated on where we sit with Kansas City coming into this one. And this just for some perspective of where they are. They're starting 3 rookies. It's a PR-driven depth chart, but one's out, and I see ours is out today as well.
Yep.
But theirs is out today, and they have 3 rookies on that depth chart and 5 new starters on that offensive line. Now, some of that you say, well, okay, it needed to be because they were dominated up front by Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl, but you're starting 3 rookies against our front. I like that matchup.
That's going to be a matchup that's going to be critical for the Browns. And you're right, the Browns have released their depth chart right now. On offense, the starters, Jarvis and Odell at wide receiver, Wills, Bitonio, Treader, Teller, Conklin, the tackles, Austin Hooper at tight end, Baker quarterback, Nick Chubb running back, Andy Janovich fullback. Of course, Kareem Hunt is also a starter. The Chief is basically also a starter. I think you're going to see a lot of DPJ and a lot of Hollywood Higgins, and you're going to see some Anthony Schwartz in this game on Sunday in Kansas City. Defensively, this is off of the base 4-3 defense. Miles, Malik Jackson, Andrew Billings, and Clowney are listed as starters. I'm not so sure that the next week that comes out, it's not going to say Myles Garrett, Malik Jackson, Malik McDowell, and Jadeveon Clowney as your starters up front. Linebackers, Anthony Walker Jr. at the Mike, Mac Wilson at the Will, Sione Takitaki at the Sam, but Jeremiah Usu-Kormoa is going to play a lot, as will Malcolm Smith, I think, in this game. Corners, here's one. This is the first time we've seen Denzel and Greg Newsome listed as your starting 2 corners. Ronnie Harrison and John Johnson, your safeties, but you're going to see Grant Delpit, Greedy, Troy Hill, I would imagine, would be your starting nickel corner, and I think MJ Stewart's got some packages, and Richard LeCount as well at safety. But we'll get more understanding, I think, tomorrow when you get into the actual game planning.
Yeah.
And I think some of those guys who maybe haven't been in team drills that return to practice, like a Troy Hill, like a Grant Delpit, like a Greedy, maybe this is where we start to see those guys get into that mix.
And from that Kansas City perspective, just to give you an idea of where they are in their roster going into this game, I mentioned up front on the offensive line, starting linebacker Willie Gay is on IR, so he's out at least 3 weeks. That's included in Sunday's game, obviously. The Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, placed on the NFL's COVID reserve list. He has tested positive for COVID, according to sources to ESPN. He is vaccinated, so he could be back Sunday. He must test negative twice within that 24-hour period and be asymptomatic in order for him to be able to get back into that game. Andy Reid saying that his 2 running backs, Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Darrell Williams, both expected to play on Sunday as well. And, one of the other things that we talked about, I can't remember if it was on or not as we were having some issues, was J.C. Treader with his statement and his basically message before the start of the season calling for daily testing. So this is something that you're going to have to deal with to varying degree as this season goes along. And for some of those teams, and I think about Indianapolis, I think about Minnesota, where you have quarterbacks and positive COVID test, if that happens, they're going to be down. And that could have a tremendous impact on this season. We had an unprecedented, not just us, the whole league, 3 days off. You finish training camp. Normally you grind right through, get into the regular season, 3 days off. You kind of held your breath, didn't you? Like, let's make sure that we're all, and so far so good on that front. But it was something that had never happened before in the NFL to give 3 days away from the facility after camp.
Yeah, normally you'd have that final preseason game on a Thursday night. You'd probably have Friday off. Saturday, the roster would be set, and you would practice on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, have Tuesday off, and then you'd practice Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and get ready for the season opener. So, yes, it is an unprecedented situation. The Browns, I know, came back and had a crisp day of practice on Monday, so Kevin Stefanski was very pleased with that. Odell had another great day, so I think that was, it was a concern, I think, for Coach. And so far, we have not heard anything on the COVID front that would cause any alarm for our team as it gets ready for this game. Remember, the players, though, who are vaccinated are only being tested once a week. Players who are unvaccinated are being tested every single day, and that includes on game days.
Yeah, so that's where you stand going into this one. Over the course of the next couple of days, we will start to get into the matchup, and we'll start to – I think what you're going to start to realize as a Browns fan – is that many of the things that were done this offseason here by Andrew Berry, Paul DePodesta, Kevin Stefanski, this front office, many of the things that were done were put in position to go head-to-head with Kansas City. If you think about the versatility that we have in the secondary, the versatility we have at linebacker, at safety, at corner, this is to match up with Kansas City. We have long, rangy safeties. Well, they have Travis Kelce.
That's right.
So this was all done. Now, you can add Buffalo in this mix as well. But a lot was done saying, hey, if we're going to win a Super Bowl, the ultimate goal in an organization is to win the Super Bowl. To do that, we've got to first win our division, then we've got to win the AFC first. Yeah. So let's build a team that can beat Lamar Jackson. Let's build a team that can beat Pittsburgh. I think that has to do with our versatility. You think about Lamar and the ability to shadow him with various people.
Have athletes who can run with him.
Of course.
Yes.
Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, guys who can run with him, all of those things. All right, well, then you get through that. Now you got to win the AFC. Well, how are you going to have to do that? You're going to have to go through Kansas City probably for the next 10 years. So let's build a team that can hang with them and all the speed and size that they have. And I think when we get into these matchups, you're going to see that you're going into a gunfight with another gun. And sometimes going up against these type of teams, you didn't have equal artillery. You're going to have it this year.
Right, and so then it's going to come down to execution. It's going to come down to game planning. And I think for the Browns, you obviously feel very good about what your game plan will be on both sides of the ball with the coaching staff that we have assembled here. And so you're going to have an opportunity, as we said, to do something special. Is anything guaranteed? No. Do last year's 12 wins, including the playoff, matter for the 2021 season? No, you don't get to carry anything over. It's not like the Tour Championship where you get to start off at 10 under if you were really good, So this is the first opportunity of 17 this year for the longest season in NFL history, 17 games, for the Browns to make a statement. But you're right. You will never be on the field. Last year what we said is the Browns are never going to be in a situation where you feel like they're going to be clearly out-coached. And I think that became very clear with Kevin Stefanski. You could say, all right, maybe a team will be as well coached as we are, but nobody's going to be better prepared and better coached than we are. We're elite in that regard, and we're very fortunate for that to be the case. You could say, though, last year, especially on the defensive side of the ball, that there were a lot of games we walked into where we were outgunned. We did not have the personnel to match up with what our opponents were capable of doing offensively. And I think looking squarely at a team early in the season like the Steelers, looking at a team like the Ravens even early in the season last year, looking at the Chiefs, we did not have the back seven to deal with what the Kansas City Chiefs could do. We did not have the back seven to deal with what the Steelers could do. Remember, when they were throwing it around, people forget the Steelers started 11-0 last year.
Yeah.
Before it
That's
got
right.
off the rails. They were 11-0. Mm-hmm. They put a big beating on us early in the season last year. They had Juju and Deontay Johnson and Claypool running around. Those kind of teams that had three receivers that could really throw the ball were a problem for us. Well, this year, you have guys that can match up with their receivers, and you have guys that can match up with their tight ends, and guys that can run and cover space. I'll never forget coming out of, remember we said last time we played Kansas City, what was the one thing that jumped out? Speed.
Yep.
and the space that was created by speed.
2 minutes.
Now
2 minutes.
we have that speed on both sides of the ball, frankly.
No, that I'll never forget. It's funny. I'll never forget doing that show with it was you and I and Jim, and we were talking about it, and you just speed. That was the word. It was that they had so much of it, an abundance of it, and now you feel like you can match them. I think the other thing as we get into this throughout the week that you're going to realize, and I think you'll see it on Sunday to a certain extent, is Kevin Stefanski coached offense last year knowing what he had defensively, and now he's not going to have that. We are a defense that can. We are a defense that can win games now. We are a defense that can wreak havoc, folks. That defensive line is going to be a problem.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it has been a
problem.
problem for our offensive line in practice, and our offensive line is elite.
Yes, yeah.
We have an opportunity with this defense to play against anybody, but really, if you are going to look at, where we have big leads last year and we let those evaporate, that won't happen. We have a defense that's built to just step on somebody when you've got them down.
You're not going to want to be in third and long here.
No,
with this group because you pin your and the Malik McDowell factor is it's a remarkable development that has happened.
Yes.
Look, folks, rough today out of the gates. We're going to get it sorted out. We'll be better tomorrow. I assure you of that. And it is a game week, and in the end, that's what we've all waited for. Is this game that we're going to get on Sunday? It's going to be fun.
Return.
Continuing. Well,
same week.
Sure. You
get them both.
You're safe, pal. What you're going to be gearing up for is this game on Sunday. This is going to be fun. It's going to be